Welcome to VICTORPATH, the psychology of influence. Most people think they're independent thinkers. They think they make their own decisions, their own opinions, their own beliefs. But every day, someone is competing for your attention because attention is influence, and influence shapes behavior. The question isn't whether you're being influenced. The question is, who is influencing you? Point one, attention is the gateway to influence. Attention is the gateway to influence. Just think about the gateway drug. They say, what do they say? I think they say weed is a gateway drug. If you get on weed, you get used to that high, and then you want a bigger one, a bigger one. You know what? This drug, that drug, this drug, that drug. So just like how you have to control your addictions, the gateway drug addictions is the same way you have to control who gets your attention. Attention is the gateway to influence. Whoever gets your attention has easier access than anybody else to influence you. Before someone could change your thinking, they first have to capture your attention, of course. They have to capture your attention. You can't influence somebody if you don't have their attention. And there's many different ways to capture attention. There's advertising, there's social media, there's news, friends get your attention, relationships get your attention, and all these different entities, they influence you in a manner because they have your attention. They don't have to be accurate. They don't have to be, it doesn't have to make sense, but because they have your attention, they influence you. Nothing influences you until it enters your awareness. So you have to be aware of it for it to influence you. And that's the challenging aspect because some of the people that should be doing the most influencing are not the best at getting attention. And some of the people that you shouldn't even have you should not want any influential influence from, they are the best at getting attention. Entertainers, for example. This is perfect. This is prevalent in the black community. The people who should influence you are not good at getting your attention, but the people who shouldn't influence you are excellent at getting your attention. And it creates this trap culture. Repetition makes ideas feel true. So you hear it here, you hear it there, you hear it there, you hear it there. And you're likely a lot of the time not even going to verify it because you heard it from all of these different entities that have your attention. And for some reason, you sometimes associate attention with trust. And you trust that source without verifying it for yourself. Verify everything. It could be a million people believe in one thing. It could be wrong. It could be wrong. Verify it. Don't be the billion and one that believes something that's wrong. Repetition makes ideas feel true. One exposure really changes a person, but repeated exposure often does. So if you hear something once, it's like, okay. Cool. But over and over and over and over and over again, and it could be true what you heard that one time, but it's like, okay, who cares? But hearing it over and over and over and over again, it has your attention and it makes it feel true. Marketing slogans, perfect example. Political messaging, relationship advice online. A lot of it's the same talking points over and over, some of which I indulged in at one point. Religious teachings, cultural norms, the repetition that occurs within these entities makes what you're hearing often feel true, makes the information often feel true, and it's not always the case. Could be wrong. The brain mistakes familiarity with for truth. So just because you hear something over and over again and you're familiar with it does not mean it's true. Does not mean it's true. You have to put in your thinking cap at www.thoughtprovoking.space and break that miscalculation of your brain that accepts familiarity as truth. Break it. No. Okay, it could be familiar. Yes. Cool. Everyone you know believes in this, but verify it for yourself. And it doesn't mean you have to go back to them and say, it's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong. No, just you know it's wrong. If they want to believe it, that's on them. Because often the times you don't, when you tell somebody something, if you tell somebody the truth, you go against, it's going to cause a bigger conflict. And you want to save your energy, especially as a man, but you want to save your energy for things that's going to move you forward in life, not day to day, misunderstandings with people. Because a lot of people benefit from misunderstanding you. So they're waiting for you to throw something at them to create a circular argument so they could purposely misunderstand you and they benefit. Don't get into circular arguments. That's a lot of tactic that people do. Like you tell them something, you know that you verified it, you know this wrong, they haven't verified it, but instead of focusing on the issue, they switch it and make it a circular argument. And it's like before you're not even arguing the issue. You're just going from here to here to there to there to there to there, back in circles. It's like, nah, don't argue with those people. Point three, emotion is more persuasive than logic. And I really don't like, I wish I want to switch the word from persuasion, persuasive, probably, I would say, let me say this. Emotions, emotion is more influential than logic. I would say that. That's what I want to say. Because I look at it like this. Force is the main way to influence people. I talked about this a lot on my Woman channel previously. Force is the main way, historically, how you influence people. And men have a monopoly over that. But men wisely have created what I theorize as the pillars of civilization, society, religion, and the government. And these pillars of civilization combine to regulate man's power of force. So men can't abuse their power of force on society because we have on civilization because we have society which regulates his emotional connection, his family, his friends, his relationships, work, etc. Religion, which kind of like regulates the morality. So there's like the spiritual, religious punishment, dogma, however you want to put it. And then with the government, that's they create the laws and ultimately exert the force. They have the military. They have the law enforcement, etc. FBI, CIA, all the alphabets, etc. So force is the main way. But then now when you get away from force to influence people, because force is regulated and you can't really use force like that. You go to jail. If you use force to do what you want in society when it's not like defense, self-defense, you can't prove it in a court of law, you're going to jail. You're going to get punished. Force is heavily regulated. Now, when you get to after that is manipulation. Manipulation. And manipulation is not as powerful as force, no, but it's powerful in a sense. It's more powerful in the sense that manipulation creates the perception. So manipulation in itself creates the perception that it's not bad by the people who use it. And manipulation, it entails is on an emotional side of it's like it's emotions. You're pretty much using emotions. You're using fear. You're using people's anger. You're using people's hope, their love, their outrage, their need to be belonging, to emotionally connect and trick them into your influence. Whereas persuasion is not as effective because most people want to be lied to. Most people want to be lied to. When you tell them the truth, it's going to cause a lot more problems if you lie to them. That's the God honest truth. Now, I'm not saying that you should lie to people. I'm just saying the reality. Most people want to be lied to. You can't tell most people the truth, or it will get you in far more trouble than if you lie to them. So, emotions are more persuasive than logic. Emotions are more influential than logic. And manipulation influences more than persuasion. Manipulation is aligned with emotions. Persuasion is aligned with logic. Emotions often determine what we're willing to believe. It's a sad reality. Most people want to be lied to. Most people go with their emotions. I'm not. You can put on your thinking cap at www.thoughtprovoking.space. Do you want to be the kind of person that your primary judgment, reasoning, logical system is based on your emotions, how you feel, when it could be boom, 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 boom. Instead, having your thinking cap on at www.thoughtprovoking.space and it's consistently connected with logic, reason, purpose, facts, evidence, data. But no matter what I say, people are always going to be more influenced by emotions as opposed to logic. That's the world we live in. I'm not saying to lie to people. I'm not saying to manipulate the people. I'm just saying to understand people, understand them. Don't be blinded by, this interacting with people. Like, no, understand people. They want to be lied to. They don't want to find out that they're being lied to, but they want to be lied to. Point four, communities reinforce beliefs. Our beliefs aren't formed in isolation for the most part. That's why, and I think this is a little bit different for men and women, because women generally need That's a part of their purpose. They generally need to be around others. They are the more social being, far more social being of both of us, men and women. I'm not saying that men don't need social, but we could do without it a lot better than they could do it. A woman, they will collapse without social activities. So therefore, as a man who won't fall apart because of social lack of social activities, you need to at some point in your life, not permanently, no, but at some point go into isolation. And this is where you'll learn about everything that was just pushed onto you since you were born, thrown onto you, and you never took a step. This is where you finally take a step back and question things. And all these things that you learn from family, friends, churches, political groups, online communities, the algorithm, everything. Isolation is where you start to question things. The people around you influence what feels normal. You, there's no other way to slice it. The people around you, they influence what feels normal. So that's why you, as a man, especially as a man, women are a little bit different. I mean, a lot different, honestly. I'm not saying they're bad people. It's just they have a different makeup and needs and different purpose and outlook of life than men for the most part. They don't do things for the same reason that we do things. So they need the social, they it's a part of who they are. They need the social interaction daily. Sometimes if you're talking to them, it feels like they're talking about stuff that's pointless. But you have to kind of like sit there and listen because they need that social interaction. And they need to be validated and they need to hear the opinions of others and what they think. Whereas you, as a man, you're more equipped as a man to listen to yourself, to take a step back and, like, okay, let me question everything. I'm not blindly believing all the stuff anymore. Let me question everything. And it doesn't mean that I have to go out and say, this is wrong, that is wrong, this is fake, that is fake. No, no, no. You just understand. And now you're better navigating. I talk about systems a lot to navigate the systems. Point five, influence can be positive or negative. Influence isn't automatically manipulation. I just stated that. Influence, it could be manipulation, well, it could be force, it could be manipulation, or it could be persuasion. Force is heavily regulated in society. So, men, you can't use your force without worrying about the backlash from the government, backlash from religion, backlash from society, the pillars of civilization. But manipulation, which I'm gonna leave this alone. I'm not gonna talk about this, but manipulation is not regulated. It's regular. Actually, I'm gonna touch it a little bit. Manipulation is is more regulated for men than it is for women, in my opinion. But women are better at it. Women are a lot better at it, honestly. But it doesn't make them bad people. Doesn't make them bad people. It's just nature. Um, so influence isn't automatically manipulation. And so manipulation is, after force and then persuasion. Sometimes it could be influence could be good sometimes influence could be persuasion. But again, back to attention. Persuasion is not going to get as much attention as manipulation. But it's good to know that good influences do exist. Mentors, you could get a mentor, you could get a coach, the teacher, read a good book, healthy relationships, as opposed to the negative influences. like manipulation. And, see, when it comes to manipulation and lying and all that stuff, me personally, if I'm not mad at either, I don't have no bad feelings about either, like, who the manipulation, the manipulator or the manipulated. I don't have a bad feeling about it either way. But if I like was to dig deeper, I would be more upset at the manipulated, especially in the society today in America, with all the information that we have. You can't afford to allow yourself to be manipulated. You have to get out your feelings. You have to control your fears. You have to stop letting people control your emotions. You can't afford to allow people to manipulate you. So I am more, if I was to be outraged either way, I am more outraged at the manipulated. I am more outraged at the person who was lied to than I am at the one who's doing the lying and manipulation, because there's so much information out there, access to information today, internet, AI, that it's like, come on, you could get the information yourself. You don't have to believe negative influence, all the stuff. Echo chambers. You want everybody who agrees with something you feel. That's the only thing you're going to support. You're not going to listen to any opposing views. It's important to listen to opposing views, no matter how much you disagree. Listen, and don't listen to be like they're wrong. They're wrong. Listen to see where they're coming from. Addiction to approval. You got to get rid of that. You can't be addicted to approval. Okay, it's normal to want approval, but don't want approval so much that it's your identity. You can't survive without it. It's your drug. No. Constant outrage. You have to control your emotions. You have to control your emotions. My mom died earlier this year. It was the worst pain of my life. My mom was amazing. It was the worst pain of my life by far. I was outraged, but I put it in different directions. I write, I train boxing and martial arts, and Muay Thai. So, as hurtful as it was, as outraged and as much as I wanted to outlash on certain people, I was often at peace. I was often at peace because, I know that, well, first of all, me and my mom had a great relationship. We had an amazing relationship, and I did everything in my power to make the situation right. And you don't have control over everything. You just have to accept that. You can only control what you can control. You can't control what you can't control. If you focus on what you can control, opportunities will open up for what you couldn't control in the future. But throughout life, you just have to focus on what you can control and just leave what you can't control, leave it alone. Leave it alone and revisit it later. But don't get outraged. Don't get outraged. It's like, control your emotions, even when the worst situations happen. Don't control your emotions. The goal isn't to eliminate influence. It's to choose it wisely. So you're not eliminating influence. You're choosing positive influence over negative influences. Simple as that. Point six, independent thinking requires effort. This is important. As I stated in the beginning, everybody thinks they're an independent thinker, but independent thinking is not something that just comes casually. No, it's something that takes deep thinking, deep effort, isolation, people telling you you're crazy. Critical thinking doesn't happen automatically. You begin to ask yourself, why do I believe this? Where did this idea come from? Have I questioned it before? What evidence supports it? And this is the most important. This is the most important. What I'm about to say is the most important. A lot of people are afraid of this. I don't know why. And this is why I love writing, by the way, because it gives me the opportunity to see where I was wrong and how I could fix it. Not so see that's a lot of people don't want to be wrong. A lot of people don't want to see where they're wrong. Maybe because they don't want to put in the work to fix it. But it's relieving when you could see where you were wrong and now you have the opportunity to fix it, edit yourself, revise yourself. And so that's the last question. Could I be wrong? Could I be wrong? Most people don't want to confront that. I've confronted that plenty of times. I've been wrong plenty of times and I've fixed it plenty of times. And there's plenty more times in my life, God willing, I have a long life that I'm gonna have to fix what I was wrong about. It's okay to be wrong. It's not okay to ignore where you're wrong, overlook it, avoid it. And it's even worse not to fix it when you discovered it. Actually, no, it's worse to just avoid it, honestly. It's worse to avoid it. You shouldn't avoid it. If you discovered it, that's better than avoiding it. But you still should fix it. Point seven. Wait, oh, sorry. Independent thinking is practice, not assumed. You have to ask these questions over and over about everything. And then even when you ask this question, wisdom is not going out and being like, oh, that's wrong, this is wrong, that's wrong, this is wrong. No, 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 no. You're not doing that. You just now you understand. And now you can navigate the systems, the society better. Point seven, choose your influences deliberately. Very, very, very important. Choose your influences deliberately. If you don't choose what shapes you, your mind, if you don't choose what shapes your mind, someone else will. You must choose what shapes your mind. Positive influences over negative influences all day long. Don't let all these influencers on Instagram, TikTok, Kick, this, that, YouTube. Don't let them influence you just because they got your attention. What questions are they asking you? Are they asking? Is this based in logic or is this based in emotion? Is this negative influences or positive influences? So it could be these positive influences. It could be books, it could be podcasts, it could be mentors, friends, social media, entertainment. Sorry, these are a mixture of influences. These are a mixture of influences. And, you know, books, podcasts, mentors are generally positive influences. When you get to friends, it could be 50-50. Sometimes more than negative influences. Social media, probably more towards the negative influence. Entertainment, I would say a negative influence. And not because of the content, but because of the programming and the time it takes from you. You could be soon so much more with your life than being entertained. By default, you have a consumer mindset where, especially in America, this country, you should be having a producer mindset, making things, building things, having stake in this economy, this which is lucrative if you really think about it. Guard your attention because it shapes your future. Guard your attention because it shapes your future. With that said, one idea I explored while writing In Love with the Chimera is that influence doesn't always look like force. Sometimes it looks like love. Sometimes it looks like trust. Sometimes it looks like admiration. The most powerful influence is often the one you never realize you're under. That's one of the central ideas behind the Chimera universe, how power quietly shapes identity, relationships, and the choices we make. Every day, someone is asking you, someone is asking for your attention because attention leads to influence. Influence shapes behavior, and behavior shapes identity. So don't just ask, what am I thinking? Ask, who has helped me think this? Think critically, question assumptions, choose direction. If you enjoyed today's discussion, like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe for more conversation on psychology, discipline, and independent thinking. And if you're interested in stories that influence identity and power, check out Fairy Tale of a Love Monster and In Love with the Chimera available on Amazon and at thought-provoking.space.